What up, people? It's Nickopz here, and today I'm going to be talking about the characters I still think need buffs in Mortal Kombat 1. Now, I'm doing this as a response to something Ed Boon just posted. Now, we just posted like 3 days ago, and he did it a little bit before the big balance change, but he still put that he wants to know, even after the balance change comes out, what do we think about characters still needing changes? So what he put here is, but we still want to hear from you. What four fighters do you feel need buffs the most? What four fighters do you feel need buffs the least? Now, I'm only focusing on the buffs department because I know what he wanted to say. He wanted to say what characters you still feel need nerfs, but if y'all haven't learned anything about me by now, I'm over nerf culture. Like, the one character that was an exception was Havoc. I felt like he needed nerfs very badly, and he got them. So, besides that, I'm against nerf culture. I'm all about buffs. That don't mean that there isn't going to be some exceptions sometimes, but yeah. So, let's get into this. What characters I think really desperately need changes. So, first, let's do the honorable mention out of the way because I'm still not too sure about this one. So this is going to be an honorable mention. Smoke. I feel like they just need to give Smoke a real overhead. But for this video, I'm going to be talking about why I think they need buffs more than what they actually need. If y'all want me to make a whole video where I go over every character I put here and break down all the changes that they need, I will do that if it's something that is wanted. But besides that, I'm just going to be talking about why I think these characters need changes. So, Smoke, I feel like Smoke's archetype, he was meant to be a mixed character with no mid, and he's just supposed to be completely about the mix. I feel like his mix isn't scary enough, but I feel like with the right cameos, he is pretty threatening. But overall, actually, I'm going to take him off on honorable mention. I'm going to put him here. I feel like Smoke is a character that doesn't really get love because amongst the casual community, he is the devil to them. But people who actually play the game at a different level and actually understand, ins and outs about the game know that Smoke isn't really all that, but it's really hard explaining to some people that he isn't that good because they just see invisibility and like, oh, he's OP, but he's really not. He's not that strong. So you can count him as an honorable mention if you want, but I'm going to put him there. So next up, I have Raiden. I feel like Raiden is a character that has only ever really been meta when he is paired with a meta ambush assist. Even amongst all the different metas with the like Kung Lao meta and the Chameleon meta and the Pharah meta, he didn't fit into those with those cameos because he's always been very dependent on having a meta ambush assist. That's why you saw him running around with Kano being meta when he was strong, or you saw him running around with Cyrax because he really needs a meta ambush assist. So without that, the character is pretty lackluster, and I do think he needs changes to his base kit to become an actual threat. So yeah, I really don't feel like the character is that strong. Now, let's go over to Shang. He got some changes, but it's not enough. Shang is a character I'm honestly quite tired of talking about because I say the same thing with him because he's needed buffs for the longest. Like, he's been one of the worst for the longest. Shang is a character that is not done right. His archetype is simply not done right. They made him a switch character, and I say this in every video where I talk about him. If the problem with Shang is his tools are divided. If he was a character with all of his tools combined, he would be ridiculous. But they tried to make a switch character in Shang, and they failed. If you want to see an example of a good switch character, look up Zeku from Street Fighter V. That is how you make a switch character, but they did not do a good job with Shang at all. And he suffered from them wanting to make that archetype in him. So if they just change that, the character will be an actual threat. they either have to change what they made his archetype and just give him all his tools in one, or they just need to give him crack things amongst both of the stances. So yeah, I'm quite tired of talking about Shang, honestly. So next up, we have Tanya. Tanya, here's the thing about Tanya. Tanya is probably one of the most boring characters in NRS history. Character is not that strong after they took away her armor because that's all she was really. And she's still okay. Like I would say she's like the top of the worst. She's really not as bad as some people act like she is. But the thing about Tanya is people don't want to play Tanya how she's supposed to be played. That's what I've noticed a lot. But she really isn't that good of a character. She has very, very obvious strengths and weaknesses. But overall, on top of her being so weak, she's just boring. Like I'm one of the people that I'm all for character strength. I don't care if the character's fun or not. But as for Tanya, she's just so bland on top of being so low tier. I feel like they need to change her. She's one of the characters I feel like just needs changes. Like buffs aren't gonna be enough. I think she needs to be completely changed. And I feel like they don't care about her enough to do that because honestly, she's not a very popular character in this game. If we had statistics, I guarantee she would be like the least played character in the game. People don't really rock with her design in this game. People don't really like her. And on top of that, she's also boring. So I think, there's no point in really talking about Tanya that much because I feel like she's not going to get changes just because how unpopular she is. All right. Up next, where is he? Reptile. Now, I feel bad for Reptile. Reptile is a character that keeps getting lackluster changes over and over and over again. And I feel so bad for him because they keep giving him changes that are irrelevant. The changes they keep making to Reptile are changes that he should have. Okay, let me put it in a better way. The changes they keep making to Reptile are so irrelevant because they never should have been there in the first place. Like his overhead, that's how his overhead should have been in the first place. The flawless block gaps, he shouldn't have had them in the first place. The dash, he should have had that in the first place. So it's not like he's getting buffed. He's just getting changes that should have been there in the first place. So it's like he's in this constant state of limbo because he keeps getting these lackluster changes that mean nothing to his kid overall. Like the acid spit, it should have been that in the first place. And the character is really just weak for real. And he was meant to be a jack of all trades, but he's like a below average jack of all trades that doesn't really do anything special. And there's no reason to play him. And they keep giving him changes that should have been there in the first place. Should have or shouldn't have. Like some of the changes are like the flawless block gap. So you can say should have and shouldn't. The flawless block gaps, they should not have been there. So it doesn't matter. The acid spit or the dash, it should have been there. So they keep giving him changes that are irrelevant. That's a better way to put it. They're just irrelevant because they're not giving him real buffs. So I feel the most bad for Reptile in this game. It's because like they're trolling with his buffs. Like, I promise it feels like that. All right, up next, Omniman. Omniman just recently got a change where they buffed his low and made it safe, but it's not enough. And I'm going to keep it real with Omniman. Omniman just needs a command grab. That's it. That's it. If Omniman gets a command grab, he will be one of the better characters in the game. And I can't think of another way that they could buff him to where he'll actually be strong besides just giving him a command grab. Omniman is a character like kind of like Smoke to where there might not be a lot of people that understand how weak he is because they don't play the game at a certain level. But in reality, if you are an actual decent player or a high level player, you can understand that Omniman really cannot open you up. He doesn't have tools to open you up. His overhead is really slow, and even though his low is safe, he doesn't have nothing to mix it up with. He just can't really open you up. He has to grab you so many times to kill you. And if you just sit there and turtle, it's really hard for an Omni-Man player to beat you if you actually know what you're doing. But yeah, overall, he's really not that strong of a character. He's actually really bad. And I feel like with how annoying he is, looks past. Like, I don't want this character buff. Like, I'm being biased here because I don't like the character, but I'm not going to let my biasness to me not liking the character because I literally call him idiot fuel take away from the fact that he needs changes. Like, he really does. So, yeah, desperately. Li Mei. Poor Li Mei. Li Mei was meant to be this game's version of Sonya Blade. But the problem is the new way that they want Mortal Kombat to be played, she does not excel in that way, if that makes sense. So, for example, Mortal Kombat before, all about the 50-50s. 50-50s here, 50-50s there, 50-50s everywhere. That's what Sonya did to you. The new way that they want Mortal Kombat to be played, whether it gets deviated from at times, they want it to be strike throw, like the Rain, like the Ermax, like the Liu Kang. And she doesn't do that at even a top 7 level. What I mean, she's not even a top 7 strike thrower. So for this game's version of Sonya Blade, they failed. And they really need to give her some tools that let her play the new way Mortal Kombat is perceived how they want it to be played. So that's why I think Li Mei is so weak. I think she's been one of the most weak characters amongst the game's life cycle. I feel like there's people that try to overrate her at times, but she's just simply not that strong. And they keep buffing her up close game, but her up close game isn't the freaking problem. So, again, if y'all want me to make a video talking about every exact change, just let me know. If it's something that's requested, I will do that. But overall, yeah, Li Mei, just feel really bad for the character. And then up next, we have Ashura. Ashura. In case y'all don't know, Ashura was one of the first characters I got to Elder. Special place for this character. But Ashura is the perfect example of what being power crept is. Okay, for example, power crept. Ashura was seen as a strong character at the beginning of the game, but Ermac being put in the game brought her down. Characters like Peacemaker, when he was at his strongest, it brought her down. Characters like Havoc's getting a buff brought her down. Characters just getting changes in general brought her down while she kept getting lackluster changes. That's power creep. So new characters getting added to the game, other characters getting buffed. She just slowly kept going down and down. While also she had the new character, she had the new game buff where she was a straightforward, good character. And those characters always get heavily overrated at the beginning of the game. So she was already overrated with being power creep. So on top of that, since she was overrated, she didn't really get changes like the other characters did. And she's at a state now to where she's way too honest. She's just not good enough. She cannot really beat competent players. And she doesn't have a really good kit. Like her overhead, you shouldn't really get hit by that. Her forward 2 is still really good, but she doesn't have a lot of tools to play around it because like her mids, whatever. Her cameo synergy is not good. She's just overall not really great, and she got power creep, and she doesn't really mesh well with a lot of assists. So I think she desperately needs changes. All right. Now, last but not least, I think this is last. Let me go ahead and go over this. So, can skim through this. All right. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me bring up my list here just to make sure. Yep. So, Peacemaker. Now, the thing with Peacemaker is Peacemaker probably had one of the most annoying metas of all time in this game. There was a point where it was literally just Johnny Peacemaker, Johnny Peacemaker. People will never forget Final Combat. Johnny, Peacemaker, Peacemaker, Johnny Peacemaker, Johnny Peacemaker. This character was a menace because in a game that wasn't supposed to be about zoning, which they make it very obvious they don't want this to be a zoning friendly game, they throw in one of the best zoners of all time and a win. So Again, I don't think there was anything wrong with that because there's nothing wrong with a little diversity in games. But with that being said, I feel like he is a character that really suffered because they took all the tools he had to really impress you with the zoning away, with taking some of the up close tools away too. So they made his anti zoning like force field weaker. They made the eagly weaker. They made just the way he was meant to be played is weaker now because they didn't want the game to be viewed that way. But if they were going to do that, they shouldn't have took his up close tools away. I guess I see why they did it now because Eagly was the up close tool and the zoning tool. But with that being said, they should have just added more to his rush down if they wanted to take away from the zoning. And since they didn't do that, he is a weaker character. He can still get by with like some assists and some cameos, but I still think overall he's like pretty weak. So I don't think there would be anything wrong with them giving him some changes. So those are all the characters I still think desperately needs buffs. And to kind of order it, I would put Reptile there. I would put Omniman there, Shang there. Sure. This is how I would order it because I gotta put Reptile right here because it's like they keep trolling with him. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff. And Nickopz out. Oh, forgot, check the Discord if you would like to connect with the community and if you would like to support the channel even more. There are the links for that. I hope you all enjoyed, and Nickopz out.